o'clock, so I will call this meeting to order. I have a recommendation that the agenda for the September 7th, 2021 Township of Wellington North Recreation Parks and Leisure Committee be accepted and passed. I will say that Dan, you have moved that, and Brian, you have seconded that. All in favor? Thank you. I have no declaration of pecuniary interest. Deputy Mayor. Thank you. Councillor Yake.
Nope.
Great, thank you very much. You'll see the minutes there as well. They were approved by our council on the 23rd of August. And I have no business arising from those minutes. Brian or Dan?
Nope. No, I'm good too.
Great, thank you. There are no deputations today, but we have an ad hoc committee update, and I will pass that over to you, Mr. Director of Operations. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Chair McCabe. So there was a BMX skateboard park ad hoc advisory committee meeting on August the 24th. The meeting minutes have been included. Just as sort of a high-level summary, the committee itself is very focused on the in-service date of July 1st, 2022. There is a proposed timeline as it relates to releasing the RFP, which is aggressive, but it sees basically getting to award in early January. The start of that will be a scope discussion at committee on September 21st. So that will basically be to determine the scope of that project and, you know, what kind of, if there's types of equipment that they want included in that RFP. So that will start, and that scope discussion will ultimately come to this committee, the meeting in October. One thing that was discussed as part of the scope discussion that I just wanted to share with this committee is the BMX committee would like to have the concrete work donated. So basically have the concrete work excluded from the RFP. I guess a hesitation I have in going that direction is that makes the coordination of the project a little more complex. And we'll certainly need a little bit more staff handholding. If I look at how we rebuilt the Optimis's playground, we kind of handed the keys over to the contractor that we hired, and they did all of the work, and then they handed us back the keys when they were completed. And it's just easier from a warranty standpoint. It's easier from everything's within their control. I understand the BMXs want to have that concrete donated, but I just wanted to raise that. I'm not sure, it'll probably be a discussion at the September 21st scope committee or scope meeting, but certainly wanted to raise it just to this committee as well, because it just puts more coordination in the project, and probably what it does do as well is it makes the township the constructor of the project, so that makes us responsible for the health and safety related to the project. But that one's ongoing. As well at this meeting, we had a document the Treasury had prepared as it relates to fundraising and just some rules on when the township's able to issue tax receipts. The meeting notes also mention the barbecue chicken dinner on September 30th, which is a fundraising activity for the BMX project. And as well, they've put forward a name of the Brent Barnes Memorial Skate Park, which will be looking for endorsement from this committee to ultimately make it to council for the name of the future skate park in Arthur. So there's kind of a bit of a summary. Certainly willing or open to answering any questions anyone has on the minutes or anything that I've said in my verbal report.
Thanks for that, Matt. Looks like you have a question, Mayor or Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Matt, are they looking to have the concrete donated or the placement of the concrete donated? Because they're two different things, right?
Yeah, through you, Chair. Good question. The conversation kind of went a little like that the successful bidder would provide a concrete spec to the committee, and whether or not who would be forming that slab, I think was undetermined. Whether it would be formed to the bidder's specification, and then the bidder would come back after the fact and kind of place the equipment on. But I would say it's still up in the air whether it's just the actual concrete or the way it was described really was the concrete slab itself. But maybe that's a compromise as far as just sole source or specifying that the committee will provide the concrete.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. When the Arthur Optimists poured the splash pad, was that concrete? Was that donated and placed? Matt, do you remember? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't speak to that one. I do not know, Councillor McCabe. I can find out.
No, just like if we can help the with the Lions with that process, and then in turn it'll help our staff as well. I kind of think it was donated, but I could be wrong. Any other questions for Matt? I have none, and I have a recommendation here that the Rec, Parks and Leisure Committee receive the minutes of the Arthur BMX Skateboard Park Ad Hoc Advisory Committee meeting of August 24th, 2021. I'll say, Dan, that you moved that, and Brian, that you seconded that. All in favor? Thank you very much. Thanks for that, Matt. And you might as well keep rolling. We're on to the reports, and this is the Rec Master Plan update.
Thanks, Chair McCabe. I'm going to do a bit of reading with this one. I've just kind of highlighted some of the bullets from within the report. The report's fairly lengthy. Where those bullets all come from is the 2018 Rec Master Plan, and the report is intended to serve as an update for committee. But just wanted to highlight some of the ones that I thought are worth highlighting, keeping in mind they're all important. But as we have an audience, just wanted to share some. So recommendation number 3 is employ a community development approach to service delivery. The township should focus on building capacity within local organizations and become involved in the direct provision of targeted services only where suitable community partners do not exist. So some examples of that would be the Arthur BMX Skate Park Ad Hoc Advisory Committee and the Mount Forest Ad Hoc Advisory Committee. They're currently working on fundraising activities related to new recreation amenities, and certainly demand for township involvement in these sort of initiatives remains high, and we have community groups who are approaching us often related to new initiatives. The other 3 items is that we've entered agreements over the last couple of years with the Damascus Community Hall, the Lions Blacksmith Shop, and the Mount Forest Agriculture, and we renewed an agreement with the Mount Forest Agricultural Society. So I think those are all important activities that are kind of going on in the background, and just wanted to highlight for committee. Recommendation number 21 is regularly assess the staff complement in relation to current projects and service levels, including a review of the use of part-time staff. And in 2019, 2020, we did add the recreation lead hand positions. We kind of reorganized the organizational structure in rec. But certainly staff complements and staff resourcing is something that's that's kind of an ongoing conversation at the staff level, just as we move forward with projects. And it kind of dovetails into recommendation 22 says develop a succession plan to proactively plan for retirements, employee transitions. And internally, we do have a staff level committee called the Looking Ahead Committee that's going to be engaged in bringing forward recommendations to council as it relates to organizational structure in the yeah, in the future. And then recommendation number 36 is replace the Lions Roy Grant Pool with a new outdoor pool in Mount Forest, potentially at the Campbell DeVore Park, Mount Forest and District Sports Complex, with the assistance of community fundraising. So at this point in time, we've selected the location, the Mount Forest, which is at the Mount Forest and District Sports Complex. And the RFP for the conceptual design of that project closes September 14th. So next week from today, that will have closed. We've had lots of interest as far as lots of bid takers. So hopeful we're going to get several different proposals from people. And then recommendation 62 is establish a consistent and high quality signage at all municipal facilities, parks, and along trailheads to enhance branding and wayfinding. So some of the notes here are the Mount Forest Trail Gateway signs that were installed in 2020, the Wellington Federation of Agricultural Points of Interest signs, which have been installed in 2021, the Arthur Trail Gateway signs, which is an ongoing project, and the recreational amenities wayfinding signage, which is a fall of 2021 we're working on installing. But again, just another thing, I think as more and more people, as we grow as a community, more and more people appreciate rec facilities. I think with what's went on the last 18 months, people have maybe have a different perspective as it relates to recreation. And another sort of theme in the recommendations as I was going through these is sort of land. When you look at the BMX skate park and its proposed location at the Arthur at 158 Domville, that property itself is going to start to get full. And certainly the rec master plan in 2018 encouraged us to continue to looking for just additional land opportunities for recreation amenities and facilities. So there's lots of stuff that's happened, and I would be remiss in not mentioning that recommendation number 20 was bringing on board a community recreation coordinator, and really Mandy has served. When you look at just the ones that I went through, Mandy's been instrumental in all of them getting completed, and she really is a dedicated community engagement champion, which again, I don't think the township maybe had as explicit a position in the past. And I think that going forward, this committee and council in general is going to need to continue to give consideration to what level of service we want to provide in recreation, because all of these things that we're doing in amenities, we're doing, there's sort of a project, there's project resources that are required to implement them. There's ongoing operation and maintenance resources required to keep them going. And some of the community groups that we work with, there's a level of service or there's a level of engagement or township involvement that's required to make those initiatives successful too. So lots of moving parts in the recreation portfolio. Hopefully this serves as an update just explicitly to look back at the 2018 master plan. But certainly available to answer any questions if anyone has any questions on anything I've said or any of the items maybe that I didn't mention.
Thanks for this update, Matt. I know it's a long list and we're knocking off some of the bigger priorities, and it's like you say, it's an ongoing list. I think we've gotten a lot accomplished, and that's during the last 18 months in this pandemic. And I think that is proves how well our rec staff is, and staff in general, of course. And Mandy is a massively dedicated person to Wellington North, and it's fantastic having her on board as well. Any questions for Matt? Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you, Steve. Matt, it's as you said, a lengthy report. It's pretty ambitious, and that's good. I'm just wondering, and I guess it's kind of almost mentioned in a couple places, but the sort of the unique partnership that Wellington North has with Southgate regarding recreation and specifically the ice surface at the new arena in Mount Forest. I still call it the new arena. Is there more verbiage in the actual document that kind of outlines the history there of that partnership? Because I think it's important to maintain the acknowledgement of that somewhere in that document so that it doesn't get lost. And, you know, in future years, thinking out, 10 years where that's all forgotten and you and I and others here maybe aren't still doing this, somebody might get the bright idea that, oh, we're gonna charge user fees for people outside Wellington North. And certainly Southgate has been a big partner in the ice surface there, so I wouldn't want that to get forgotten. I think it's a good partnership. It works really well, and I look forward to having it continue.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, it's a natural partnership. I think that we both enjoy, and having a rep from Southgate on this committee for sure is it goes a long way as well, and proves our partnership and friendliness across not only township borders but also county borders as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
I think it was it 2 years ago that we renewed, or was it only just last year that we renewed the agreement with Southgate?
That might have been late 2019.
Okay.
I was going to say it was the year after the election, I think.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. So, but yeah, no, for sure, making sure that the acknowledgement of the working partnership with Southgate and Wellington North is something to be broadcast and put down in the history book so that people.
I
remember.
I wouldn't want to get lumped in with West Gray. That's all. Without putting too much of a point on it, that's what I don't want to see happen.
Let's not go down that road again.
Okay.
We'll leave it right there.
All right.
Thanks. Yeah, go ahead, Dan. Thanks for that, Brian. Go ahead, Dan.
I think Brian brings up a good point that in this, I don't know if it's this document that it should contain, and I haven't really seen it in here, but there should be something in here about the, the ongoing relationship with Southgate and some of the historical significance that goes with that. So I agree with Brian. I don't think we can forget that because they've been a good partner. They've been a good friend financially and in other ways. So I think we really need to make sure that we don't forget them and that we acknowledge their participation in recreation.
Agreed. Go ahead, Matt.
Yep. Yeah. Through you, Chair McCabe. I would maybe, if committee's okay with this, I would give ourselves as staff a bit of time and we can come back with kind of the excerpts from the rec master plan that speak to Southgate, just as I don't think it's a difficult report for us to put together, but it'll allow us a little opportunity to suss that information out. For sure, the report that's before you tonight is really focused on the recommendations that came out of that report. But if that's agreeable to committee, I would take that as an action item to bring it back to a future committee meeting.
And just like that, the heavy weighs in. Here we go.
Oh yeah. Now we get the information.
For you, Chair McCabe, if that's okay. Yeah, absolutely. Matt's recommendation is a good one. I also just would, with the Southgate representation here and us talking about a pool in Mount Forest, that, yeah, we certainly look to continue the enhanced relationship that we have with Southgate and Southgate residents and their ability to utilize some of our facilities openly, but recognizing that there are these historic agreements that we hope to all be part of going forward. So not to get off topic,
Oh no,
Councillor Milne, but just thought I would chime in there.
Thank you for that. Timing is everything.
Wise words, and there's so much opportunity between both townships that yeah, you'd be remiss not to bring it up right now. So, and it is rec related as well. So
Absolutely.
thanks for that.
We can make it number 75 on the list, Brian, if that's,
Okay.
With that, any more questions for Matt? Seeing that, I have a recommendation that the Rec Parks and Leisure Committee receive for information the Rec Master Plan update. And I'll say that was moved by Brian and seconded by Dan. All in favor? Thank you very much. And once again, up to you, Matt. Over to you, Matt, and have a verbal update with the arena floor and Arthur.
Yep. Thanks, Chair McCabe. Yeah, Tom is on vacation this week, so I'll do my best to fill in. Yeah, as it relates to the Arthur Arena floor, that project is really complete from the contractor standpoint. What we will start later this week is we will start building the ice for the first time on that arena floor, and I guess the sub of the contractor is on site for that process because it'll be the first time that concrete gets frozen. It's had a lot of time to cure, so I think we're ahead of the curve in that regard. And it looks like in Arthur, our first booking is September 23rd or thereabouts. So yeah, within a couple of weeks there will be skating going on in Arthur on the new floor. But yeah, the boards were installed or completed since we last talked, and the I guess advertisings on the boards have been installed. But yeah, it's ready to go for a season of hockey.
That's fantastic to hear, Matt. Thanks. So did they get the lacrosse lines up too then?
Yeah, I
Or
think
painted on, sorry?
they were painted before
Yeah.
the ice has been built. Yes.
Okay, perfect. That's what I thought was part of the plan. So yeah, I'll have to get down and see that now that it's all the boards are up in the advertising. Is that advertising, is it kind of like the professional leagues where it's on a vinyl, or is it quite permanent?
I think it's behind a plexiglass, but I'm not 100% sure, Chair McCabe. I'd have to look into that.
No, I'm just curious. And sorry, Dan, I saw you had a question there. Go ahead.
yeah, just a question to Matt. Overall, Matt, were you happy and satisfied with the way the project went from start to finish, and happy with the end result?
Yeah, through you, Chair McCabe. I think schedule was kind of the icing on the cake for this project, as far as we had an opportunity with what was going on outside of our control, which allowed us to do that replacement when user groups didn't have an opportunity to use the facility. So contractor was very easy to work with, met the schedule, and like I say, concrete was poured mid to early July, so it's been sitting a long time, which is good from a curing standpoint. Yeah, really, yeah, no issues with that project. Really good implementation, and again, used an opportunity where we wouldn't have had user groups in the facility anyway. And if you look, that was one of the recommendations related to the master plan that was tagged with a high priority, because in 2018 it was acknowledged that that ice surface or that floor needed to be replaced.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Good to
Matt.
hear.
Yeah, and like right from start to finish, it didn't seem like there was too big of hitches or anything in the whole construction, the removal and then the whole construction of the new piping, the new inlay, and the boards and the ice surface, the cement, the ice surface itself. So great project to have done and in the books for sure. Any more questions regarding the floor in Arthur? Then Matt, we'll just move right into the Donald Family Diamond update, if you would please.
Yep. Thanks, Chair McCabe. This one's a little more straightforward. I think the last baseball, or the last organized baseball on that diamond, is this week. So after this week, we have a fencing contractor lined up for late September. Drainage work lined up for early October, and the clay is expected to go down in October. So we've there's three contractors or three different suppliers that we're working with, but that one's still on target to be completed by winter. So that'll be ready for next spring, which has kind of always been the plan.
Beautiful. Does Jim know about that? Like you've kept him in the loop, so to speak, Matt? Just curious.
Jim, I know, has been in touch with Tom. I'll make a note for myself just to circle around and make sure that Jim knows that proposed timeline. But to the best of my knowledge, Jim's aware that those conversations have been happening as we've kind of tried to lock people into a schedule.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Matt on the ball diamond? All right, seeing none, we're ripping through this pretty quick. We have the correspondence with the Arthur Senior Center, and I will go back to you, Matt.
Yep. Thanks, Chair McCabe. The letter that's included is very similar to the letters that we've been issuing. These letters are issued in consultation or in discussion with the Arthur Senior Center. And they have started taking bookings for November and December with the hopes that we'll be in a place where they can have bookings in November and December. And this letter also, I guess, makes reference just to the fact that because the Arthur Seniors is a vulnerable population, and the type of programming that goes on there is typically card playing, which is closer contact. They've been agreeable to the end of September date, but we're constantly reevaluating as things change.
Great, thank you. And I think it's all throughout this, it's been good communications between even the Damascus Hall and the Senior Center as well. So it's nice to see that they'll hopefully maybe be able to get some bookings in. Any questions for Matt? Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you. Matt, is card playing in Wellington North just a close contact sport, or is it a full contact sport?
I would, I'm not sure, I guess. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm going to stay clear of that one.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe Dan can let me know someday.
With family ties from Broughton, Brian, I would suggest it can go either way.
Yeah, I would imagine. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Dan, any questions for Matt at all?
No, I'm okay.
Great, thanks. I have a recommendation here that the Rec, Parks and Leisure Committee receive for information the correspondence with the Arthur Senior Center. And I'll say, Dan, you moved that and Brian seconded it. All in favor? Thank you. Well, I guess I will go around the table. I don't have any real new business for Rec. I'll start with you, Dan.
No, I think I'm good too, Steve.
Brian?
Just to say that the rodeo at Holstein went off really well last weekend, and lots of participants from south of us, I'm sure, and it was very successful. So just that's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, I did hear the rodeo was well received and had a lot of participants.
And rodeo is a full contact sport.
I believe that. Saturday at noon, I got together with Amanda Van Tol and Len Rice and Anson Lewis, and we did the draw for the Mount Forest Minor Hockey Association. There was a draw for a quad runner, a smoker, and a half a side of beef. And it went off really well. I can't remember who won, but
well, you didn't do a very good job because I didn't get a phone call.
Yeah, that's right. You bring that up to Len. I should have put your tickets in, I guess, Brian. Sorry.
Who knew?
The one winning, the person that won the quad runner, I believe that ticket was actually sold at the Holstein Rodeo, from what Len had said. So.
Very
Again,
good.
another great partnership with Southgate and Wellington North. With that, Matt, do you have anything to add to the roundtable here?
Yeah, thanks, Chair McCabe. Just for clarification, going forward, should staff assume that the default start time for these meetings is 4 p.m.? Is that fair at this point?
I think that's a fair assumption, yes. I think we want to be able to accommodate Brian and Dan, and if that's what works, I can work with any schedule, so that works for me as well, and hopefully that works with all the staff as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Mandy, you've come into view.
Thank you, Chair McCabe. I just wanted to bring to committee's attention that we are having a volunteer appreciation lunch on September 24th from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And that'll be at the Kenilworth Administration Office. So that's for anyone who volunteers in our community. So Brian, if you are aware of any Southgate residents that volunteer in our community, they are also welcome to attend that. But we do ask that there's pre-registration for contact tracing purposes and to plan the meal numbers.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks for that reminder, Mandy. Mike, you're off screen, but do you have anything to add to the round table today?
Nothing for me. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Well, I have a recommendation here that the Township of Wellington North Recreation Parks and Leisure Committee meeting of September 7th, 2021 be adjourned at 4:31. I will say that was moved by Brian and seconded by Dan. All in favor? Great, thank you.
Well done, Mr. Chair.
Thanks very much for making the time. It was more of a great big update for rec, so I think it went well, and we're still well on track. So thanks everyone for joining us, and have a great evening and have a safe week.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care all.
See you, everybody.
Bye for now.